I lived in a lot of places growing up. When I was 5, we moved to New York City. So I lived the whole New York City lifestyle, and I went to elementary school there. And eventually my parents said, let's try and go back to Colombia. So we went back to Colombia, and we were there for a couple years, and then we went back to America. This time we went to Florida. Who doesn't want to live in Florida? I've lived in New York City, I lived in West Palm Beach, I lived in Toronto, and I lived in other areas of Canada. I've also been able to travel around the world. I've been in Europe, I've been in Africa, I've been in South America, and I've been able to embrace so many cultures and see what other people have to offer, and I think that's so vital to who I am. Living in America was a bit of a struggle as an immigrant, especially as an illegal immigrant. So my parents said, you know what, we're picking up everything, and we moved to Canada. Toronto was my teenage years, so I grew up in Toronto, and I think I went from being a kid to being a woman there. So I will always remember that place as the place that raised me, the place that really shaped me to who I am, because my best friends are all there. I did university there, so you know, I molded into a person there. So I will always remember Toronto as like my home, away from home. I think from America, the one thing that I can take away and that I absolutely love, having my family close and having that close family unit. And I mean, the shopping in America is amazing. So I really miss that, because in Canada, it's not the best, but we're getting there. Out of the places that I've traveled, I think one of my favorite places had to be Morocco. I went to Marrakesh recently, and I've been able to travel through Europe. Like I went to Serbia, Croatia, Italy, Paris. Where else have I been? I've been to places in the United States. I've been to Costa Rica, Mexico, Cuba, but I think with Marrakesh, it really captured me because it was such a drastic. It's a culture shock. I've never been that culture shock. It was so different. A different way of seeing life and seeing the way other people who don't have a lot but are so happy and make the best out of it. So I really love Marrakesh. I think it's one of the places that I'll never forget. My second favorite place had to be probably Cuba. A lot of people see Cuba as a socialist country, that they don't have much and the people are miserable, but honestly, the warmth of the people there, the food was so good. And I also saw that even though that they don't have much, they're the happiest people that I've seen. They're so friendly and they're so welcoming. Being able to pick up different things from every single culture and become very socially aware about other people and their tastes and their personalities, and I think every single person that you meet in every single country has kind of shapes you and opens your mind to the world. I think at this point in my life, I'm really contemplating, where do I want to end up in my life? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to study? Where do I want to work? Where do I want to raise my kids? And to be honest, if I can go back to any place, it would be Medellin 150%, because I feel that even myself, from being in America at such a young age, it's made me a bit different and a bit distant from my culture. So I want my kids to really, really become that true cultural Colombian type of personalities and type of person. But if I really had to choose one place that I don't ever want to go back, it would most likely be this small town in Ontario. And that's where we first arrived when we came to Canada, and we lived in a shelter. So as much as that made me who I am, I kind of don't want to remember living in a shelter. I would never want to go back to that little town. It had like 45,000 people, and it was not the happiest moment in my life. But yeah, I'm probably there. Aside from everything else, I don't regret going anywhere.